The horrific true case of the Skönvik Yeti Man. The horrific true case of the Skönvik Yeti Man. Yetis have been a staple of folklore and urban legend worldwide. The USA has tales of Bigfoot across nearly every state. The Himalayas tell of the Yeti across the mountain ranges of Nepal, and pop culture has even coined the term the abominable snowman. There is no scientific evidence of any of these creatures existing. However, the Skönvik Yeti Man of Sweden is far more haunting than the rest because of the true nature of the details provided. Please note that this report includes graphic and disturbing details that some readers may find unsettling. Some of the facts have been translated to English from Swedish, so discrepancies may occur. Due to the popular nature of the story across Scandinavia, the Swedish Police Authority released a statement in 2018 warning trespassers to stay away from Skönvik Wildlife Park, and they are permitted to prosecute anyone violating the restrictions. Skönvik is located in the region of Västernorrland in northern Sweden, approximately 352 kilometers, 219 miles, from the capital of Stockholm. The area is sparsely populated, with about 100 to 120 people. The people of Skönvik are largely self-sufficient, hunting much of their food in the local forest, which became a wildlife park in 2016. Stretching over 400 acres, the forest is home to brown bears, wolves, lynx, and wolverines. Due to this, a forest ranger is always appointed to care for both the people and wildlife. The ranger would live in a cabin 10 kilometers, 6 miles, into the forest, carrying out regular patrols. Magnus Ahlberg, 29, took the position of park ranger in May 1998. Ahlberg was an avid hunter who had grown up hunting with his father and knew the forest well. After the events of this case, he was the last ranger allowed to work alone in the park. By law, all future rangers were required to have a partner. For the first 2 years, Ahlberg experienced no issues. He would spend 2 to 3 weeks at the forest cabin alone, returning to Skönvik to socialize, buy supplies, and file reports to FACE, Federation of Associations for Hunting and Conservation of the EU. In the first 2 years, he filed reports about encounters with brown bears, aiding a moose with a broken leg, and local hunting violations. Nothing out of the ordinary. However, in July 2001, the first unusual report was filed. Date: 12th of July 2001. Name: Magnus Ahlberg. Details: potential hunting bear in Zone 3 of Skönvik Forest. I was awoken at night by scratching on the window of the cabin and the sounds of the bear sniffing. It was not frightened by loud sounds and continued to scratch the walls and growl for 10 minutes. I suspect the bear is lacking food due to the drought and may have a cub. I advise flagging this zone as a red zone. Upon returning to Skönvik on the 14th of July, 2001, locals noted that Ahlberg appeared pale and unsettled. He expressed uncertainty about whether the encounter involved a bear, speculating it could have been a large wolverine due to the animal's bold behavior. Still, he returned to the cabin just days later on July 22, 2001. A week later, Ahlberg returned again, more distraught than before, filing another report. Date: July 22, 2001. Name: Magnus Ahlberg. Details: the bear returned at 3:34 a.m. I heard a loud bang on the cabin door. At first light, I discovered a moose carcass outside, its skull caved in, with flesh missing from its torso. It appeared the bear killed it with repeated blows to the head. The carcass weighed around 150 to 200 kilograms and took me an hour to move. I no longer believe hunger is a motive, but territoriality, perhaps due to a cub. Ahlberg noted the strangeness of the situation, but what disturbed him most came days later, when he filed a final report before abandoning his cabin. Date: 22nd of July, 2001. Name: Magnus Ahlberg. Details. The fiend returned. I heard it growling and throwing logs in the forest. It doesn't behave like a bear, but like a gorilla or chimp, jeering as if in rage or excitement. I know how ridiculous that sounds, but I'm sure it's not a bear. Ahlberg's final encounter happened on the night of July 21st, 2001, as recounted by his brother Jonathan. Ahlberg described hearing chewing sounds just outside the cabin door. With his rifle in hand, he approached the door, banged loudly, and startled the creature. Opening the door, he saw a bipedal figure running into the forest, dropping to all fours as it disappeared into the trees. He found feces smeared across the front door and a half-chewed eyeball, which he believed to be human. His brother remembers Magnus saying, "It has hunted someone. I'm waiting to read about a missing person." Magnus Ahlberg returned to the forest cabin one last time on July 30th, 2001. 4 weeks later, after no sign of him, local police sent 2 hunters for a welfare check on August 29th, 2001. They found Ahlberg's lifeless body on his porch, his face eaten off, and a rifle still clutched in his hand. It was unclear whether scavengers had caused the injuries post-mortem, but the lack of damage to his body suggested otherwise. Ahlberg had fired 1 shot, missing the target, and was likely mauled by whatever had haunted him. Swedish authorities enlisted 45 hunters to track and kill the animal responsible, and 2 weeks later, on September 13th, 2001, they made a chilling discovery. 4 hunters stumbled upon a small burrow 4 kilometers from Ahlberg's cabin. From the darkness, a filthy, muscular man with wild hair and a thick beard came crawling out on all fours. The man, pale and covered in scars, tried to pounce but was shot by one of the hunters. The man died soon after, growling and moaning even as he lay injured. The hunters identified the man as Jonas Johansson, a former patient of Säter Mental Hospital, which had closed in 1989. Many of its patients had been released due to funding issues, and Johansson had likely been living feral in the forest, killing animals for survival. His one-eyed appearance was particularly haunting. Many believed he was the same figure Ahlberg had encountered, chewing on the eyeball at his door. The case was quietly closed, and the Swedish government kept the circumstances of Ahlberg's death private, especially as the world's attention turned to the tragic events of September 11th. Yet, locals will never forget the horrifying tale of the Skönvik Yeti man.
And that's it for tonight's story. But don't worry. The darkness always has more tales to tell. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next chilling episode. I've got something really special planned for next time. And trust me, you won't want to face it alone. So, stay tuned. And until then, keep your lights on and your doors locked.